February 14th, actually. We'll talk about that.
February 14th, you did that on?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Good
shit.
old Valentine's Day.
Valentine's. Why'd you do that? Just because it just happened
I
to be that day?
honestly did not know that that was the day. I was just like, oh yeah, it just happened to happen that
It's
way.
just another day, really.
Right.
To me, I mean, I don't celebrate. You guys don't celebrate it, do you?
No, because we get a lot of the hidden meanings behind holidays, so don't
Yeah.
really necessarily subscribe to a lot of it.
So much of it's just consumerism, dude.
Right.
It's like, why?
Right. 100%.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like, am I just not? Well, I am. Like, I'm not the most sentimental person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somewhat sentimental, but when it comes to those holidays,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, why are we doing this?
Right. It's that pressure of the consumerism thing. You know,
It really
the media
is.
has blasted us with many, many, many hours of advertising and, subconscious programming to the point to where, man, should I be doing this or what? Should I not be? Should I follow the crowd or should I not?
Yeah, I remember growing up, man, and my mom would always, she would always like point out when something was like name brand.
Right.
She's like, "This is name brand, it's good," and you know what I mean. Like there's this association.
There's a truth to that in
There
certain
is some
products.
truth, right? Exactly. There is some truth to that because certain brands do have better quality for sure, and if you're buying like, I don't know if it's like Nike compared to, I don't know, whatever Walmart's thing is,
Back in my day, they would call them Bobos.
Sure.
So the off brands.
Yeah, like oftentimes Nike's probably going to be better, right? But
Sure.
I feel like I can't remember what it was. I saw a video and it was saying it was supposed to be this old like instructional video that they show in training for like department stores.
Right.
And it was selling to the Negro.
That would have been great. I would have had a heyday with that.
Dude, it was so funny. And one of the things was, don't try to maybe talk, them into maybe a more reasonable purchase because the Negro has no problem paying for name brands and
Right.
high-end things. Because
That's called branding, by the way.
yeah, and because paying for the high-end things, will show like it'll display like this outward status symbol, which
Right.
us as black people haven't had for a very long time, right? So then we attach to that outward
success.
symbol, right? Which you even see today, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the wealthiest people usually don't wear any jewelry, but you see a
No.
whole bunch of rappers with like sort of money, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
Like
right.
just blinging it out.
Zuckerberg's wearing the same shirt over and over again.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Just a uniform. Have you ever thought about going to a uniform?
Going to a uniform?
Yeah, like just wearing a uniform, like buying the same shirt and
Oh,
pants.
I have because you go so often and you're a content creator or if you're always on the go, it would be nice to have the same thing over and over. Just, you know what to expect, And so
Yeah.
I have thought about it before, but obviously, there's just so much prejudgment with a lot of things, but a lot of people would maybe discredit who I am if I'm wearing the same thing all the time. Although I did wear these pants the last time. Actually, no, these are a new color. My wife actually got me another pair of similar colored jeans, pants from Old Navy. So our last podcast Saga did, it was the Banana Republic version of this color. This
Okay.
is the Old Navy version of this color. Yeah.
Adventurous.
Adventurous. So, yeah, I guess I have a uniform on. For those who didn't catch that. Okay.
It makes it easier, man. It's just less
Right.
mental space to even think about.
Right, that's
Are
what
those
it's
the
about.
stretchy pants? Do they
Yeah, it's
stretch?
actually very comfortable. They look tight on you, but you don't really feel it. So I'd
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
this is as close as I'll ever get to yoga pants.
Dude, those are the only kind of pants I'll wear. Like I went and bought all new pants and all new shorts. They all
Right.
have to have like that stretch material.
Right.
These things are game changer, dude.
Impose will, too, man.
Imposed will, yeah.
Imposed
I wear my own clothes every day.
Right.
I have all these clothes in there that I don't wear anymore because I just keep making my own
Why?
clothes and wearing them.
Right, exactly.
Why would you not wear your own brand?
Super proud of you for that, too, man. Exciting to see what you're doing with it.
Yeah, man, it's been really cool doing the relaunch. It's been like my baby for so long. I put it on the back burner, but it's always been a part of my life. But so now it's just like, quit fucking around, man, and just
do it.
Start doing it.
Right, because what else is there?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
make it happen.
It's really that simple. It's really that simple. So I mean, since we last spoke, you've been doing quite a bit, right? I mean, we just kind of glossed over it, but you
Right.
just started your podcast,
Oh, yeah.
Grow to Great.
You got it. Thanks to the fun inspiration that you got me onto that path when we had our first, I think it was episode 30 of your podcast,
Yeah.
and we talked about me doing it, and then you just said do it, and then here we are, right? So
Yeah.
February is when I started it, and it was beginning to be one thing it was supposed to be, which is just long form interview, connecting with people, going through their stories of their successes and some of their failures, right? So that the audience can learn maybe a thing or two, right? But it ended up morphing into other things because you get so passionate down so many different routes when you have these conversations.
Yeah.
It's turning almost into a full production television show from my tablet, right? And
Yeah.
so, I'm having different segments that I'm creating with it and offshoots and all types of stuff. But it's been really fun having those conversations with so many great people. I haven't been pursuing those who have a lot of followers or whatnot to interview. I've
Yeah.
actually been interviewing everyday people who are passionate in what they already do.
Yeah.
And the stories I've been getting has been really, really good.
Well, a couple things. So in that last point that you said, it's amazing how many successful people aren't on social, right?
Yeah.
Most of them, really, to be honest with you. So, I mean, who cares if they have a following? But yeah, dude, I think that's cool. We live in a time where like this platform, social, like not social, but podcast, like there is no set structure on how to do it.
No.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it's totally cool that you just pivoted and you're like, you know what? I want to do more production. I want to have segments. I want to have different people.
Yeah, I'm listening to some of what the audience likes, and so I started doing like daily morning like positive messages, maybe 2 to 3 minutes long, not super long, and that it helps to boost their day in the morning. So
Yeah.
it's graduated to that. So yeah, I love listening to what the audience wants and needs, and then fulfilling that. I've always learned that in sales in life, right? I've been doing quote sales since I was 18, doing telemarketing with headsets like these, right?
Right.
And so I learned, the process of, get a friend, find a need, transfer the feeling, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I've been taking the route of trying to provide as much good content and value to my audience, and that's the focus. And whatever happens from there, fantastic. But the main focus is providing free content that has value behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you like to go about finding your guests?
It becomes very random sometimes, but
Yeah.
it does depend on the week, what I want to talk about that week. So one week I might want to talk about networking. Another week I might want to talk specifically about health and wellness. And so I attach to those different people who might be specializing in things that I'm looking for. So I belong to some networking communities, some business owners and such, and I ask for referrals for, like this week I want more health and wellness professionals because I want to have that conversation at a deeper level and be a source of education around health and wellness, not just me, pontificating on the microphone, but actually having professionals like yourself talk about some health and wellness journeys and have some nutritionists on and so on and so forth, right? So
Yeah.
I always want to have professionals in the things that I'm looking to promote. So,
Yeah. I always have, I have a list of people that I know I want to talk to. And then you just discover people along the way, or somebody
Right.
will like recommend somebody to you. I often find that almost everybody's like, who you should have on your podcast.
every time I talk to someone, you're right.
It's like,
right.
yeah, man, yeah, that'd be cool. Sure, I'll definitely think about that. Like,
Right.
I'll take
And it's
that
almost
into
like,
account.
well, who would be great to have on your podcast?
Yeah.
Just kind of motivate them to do theirs.
Yeah. So, but when people do that, if I think like, oh, I mean, maybe it wouldn't be a good fit for me, but it might be a good fit for like, oh, I know somebody who does have a podcast that this might be a good fit for. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Right.
yeah, you can always make it work, but man, that's just one of those things, dude. Everybody knows somebody that they want to hear on your podcast.
Right.
Podcast.
Everyone, I was talking with a young gentleman today, we're just kind of connecting with one another. And I had made a statement of, it's not about what you know. It's not even about who you know. It's about who knows you, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we walk around, man, I knew what's the name from high school. Yeah, that was my homie back then, but does he know you? Like,
Yeah.
Who knows you? So get out there and make it happen and help people find you.
That's true, man. And it's just about just going out every day and just meeting people and just
Right.
making it happen, dude.
Right.
I mean, how many people just sit back and just let life pass them by?
Easy to do when it seems painful in the moment. When life is so painful, it's hard to get out of bed sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the, I don't know, I find this this internal struggle to where you're always trying to be positive And especially maybe I'm a little bit conditioned from the corporate setting to
Okay.
where you're always trying to give positive phrases. You never, especially in sales, right? You never say something like, you don't use negative words, right? You always try to
Right.
spin it so it's always in the positive frame.
Hmm.
But the world isn't all positive.
No.
As positive as I try to be in my mindset and but at the end of the day, the truth of like the fact of the matter is the reality is that life is fucking hard.
It is.
You know what I mean?
It's not an easy game. Obviously, it's not for the faint at heart for sure.
Yeah.
And being positive all the time is not something that's possible for me for sure. It would appear that way. A lot of people say, "How do you stay so positive all the time?" Well, it's because I do my best to do it. I do a lot of reframing in my mind, but
Right.
I have my negative moments, quite frequently in life because I'm a human, right?
Yeah.
But I do my best to condition it towards the right direction that's best for my vision. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
How do you like to reframe things? Or like what's your
word,
internal self talk like?
it's mostly wording, very careful selection of the words that come from my mouth because I
Yeah.
get that what I say is what I go towards and create in my life.
Right.
And so, it came from a lot of different books and such that I've read in life when it comes to personal development, like How to Win Friends, Influence People, and
Right.
how I raised myself from failure to success in selling, the magic of thinking big, Think and Grow Rich, outwitting the devil. You can go on and on and on. All these different conversations that I've had to myself reading these books, somehow there's a route to get away from frustration. So you think about this, like the only reason that I would get frustrated in life is because I didn't have a route to the solution of the problem. So the more that I've expanded my mindset when it comes to reading books or hanging out with the right people, I now have different routes to get out of an issue so that the frustration will go away. So I love doing podcasts because I have all these stories and I get all these different routes of, well, I remember this one podcast I did, this person did this in this situation. Maybe if I try it, it might work, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't get frustrated because I have a route now. So that's
Yeah.
how I kind of look at reframing is just nonstop trying to just grow as a person
Yeah.
of who I am. And then from there, frustration doesn't come up as often. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, because nobody talks to you more than yourself in a given day.
100%.
Right? I mean, I'm constantly talking to myself in my head.
Right,
It's sometimes out loud.
Right. It happens. We all do, and we're counting our numbers at when we're in the grocery store. Yeah, we're always talking to ourselves out loud.
Right. You know what I mean? So
Because we're creating. We're creators. We can't help it.
Exactly. Well, not everybody's a creator though. Or do you think everybody is a creator? What do you think?
I think innately. I think all. Yes. Yeah.
I know we all have the potential to create.
Yeah. I think so. We have the potential to create. That's a very interesting thought. I can only come from my own perspective, but so for example, I've done network marketing for over a decade, right? And in that, you are to do, something that they would call showing the plan, where you would sit down with someone for a couple hours, get to kind of understand who they are, make a friend, find a need, transfer the feeling, take the lead, they say, right? And in that, I would just find that most of the people that I talked to, if not all of them, had this mindset behind them to want to do more. Like everyone would say, I want to serve people. If I would get deep enough with them, most people I try to get really deep with when I'm connecting with them, because I want to get past the weather. I don't want to talk about the weather. We can't control that. Let's talk about our attitudes, things we can't control, right? Like I go as deep as possible because I notice most people's real passion in life is helping others, is what I hear all the time. Now, whether their feet do that, that's another story. But what I hear a lot in people's heart a lot of times is that they want to help other people. In order to do that, you got to be creative with who you are, to create a way to help other people. I mean, that's what I see, but maybe not everyone is a creator.
Sometimes people probably just say that because they think that's what they're supposed to say.
Right.
I know I've actually said that in the past, even though I maybe hadn't believed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's like there's a part of me that wanted it,
Right.
but it wasn't like fully a part of my ethos at the time. You know what I'm saying?
It
So
was fed to you in a sense, and so you maybe were repeating what you heard.
people
and
do it all
whatnot.
the time, right? You just
Right.
say the right words because that's what
That's
people,
what everybody's done.
Yeah.
I was sitting down with this gentleman earlier today, like I said, and I was talking about the story of the ham where the mom would cut both sides of the ham, right? And the grandma did the same thing, and that's why mom did it. And then you'd ask grandma, well, why are you cutting the ham before you put it in the oven? Well, that's what my grandma did. And then so it gets down to the point to great-great-grandma. So why did great-great-grandma cut the ends of the ham off? Well, it's because the oven was too damn small. And so now you have grandma and mom actually still using the same method to cook the ham, even though the ovens are 10 times the size of what they used to be.
Yeah.
But it's all following that traditional mindset, which is good in some things, but in most scenarios, I think that we need to break the traditionalism.
Yeah, that's one of those situations of, well, we've always done it this way.
Right.
Yeah,
100%.
that's dangerous thinking. That's dangerous thinking. But I mean, I guess that's probably I'm thinking more at probably like groupthink.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Where you just go with what everybody else is doing.
Right. Yeah, I think groupthink can be good if we're all coming from. So, okay, I do this thing called Master Networks on Thursday mornings where I'm networking with literally just different business owners who have their own professional businesses, successful businesses. In each seat, we all own that seat for that specific industry. So I'm the guy who's doing podcasts there in St. Charles, right? And so in that room, there's just a plethora of just professionals who are trying to help each other get to the next step in life. And it's really cool having that group think tank on a weekly basis because none of us are trying to recruit each other in our own businesses because we already have our own thing. We're now trying to group think to help each other. And so it's really interesting how you can look at group settings. You can either be a follower just sitting there like taking the business from the professor in class, or you can use it as a way for everybody to help each other. So it's really hard to tell.
That's the balance in everything.
Right.
Yeah, dude. There's always a balance, right? There's always a dichotomy. So, that brings me to the point I wanted to make.
Yeah.
As much as there is, damn it, what the hell were we just talking about? We were just talking about
Group thinking, traditionalism, thinking the way that it's always been done.
No, it had something to do with like positivity, I feel like.
Reframing the way that you communicate to yourself.
Oh, creating. So yeah, I feel like we all have the potential to create, right? And a lot of people really use that driving force in their life, but just like with everything, there's a dichotomy, right? So some people just want to destroy. Like they exist as well.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
There's the Dahmers.
Yeah, man. It's always easy to like think that like everybody wants to be positive, but there's do we need both those people, you think?
Both people, the positive and the
Yeah.
the destroyers.
The negative.
Do we need?
I mean, don't you
maybe
need
we
balance?
do. Maybe we do because otherwise, what we have to have it.
You have to have the balance, man.
Is it balance or is it harmony?
Both. Is that not the same?
Well, when you think
balance,
about
not harmony?
instruments, if you think about instruments, like the cymbal sounds way crazier than a flute. And so there's no balance there. They both sound extreme in different rights, but when they're in the same key, I guess, they're having harmony with one another, right? Like, so I look at life that way. Life isn't a teeter-totter. Like, there is that yin and yang, but I feel that life is so damn chaotic, there is no balance. It's just freaking chaotic stuff going on, but I think there can be harmony within that chaos. Because if you look at a symphony and they start warming up, it sounds like really weird. Like,
Yeah.
you hear all that, and then the guy's up there drumming, and the cymbal guy wishing he can get a solo, but he's never going to get a solo because he's a cymbal guy. No one wants to hear the cymbal. So they're all trying to warm up, and they're all off key. But once they get in harmony together, all these different instruments that sound different, they make this beautiful sound we like to call music. So I look at life like that way. It's like this harmony. It's not necessarily a balance. In my perspective, how I see it, I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah, harmony.
Yeah.
Harmony.
I never like looked at it in that way. Life is definitely chaos. We all know that.
Yeah, very unpredictable.
Yeah, man.
Most unpredictable thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and like we were talking a little bit before, it's easy to, at least for me, I've definitely gotten to some headspaces to where I'm just like, what does this all mean, man? Like,
Right.
because it is all chaos, and we live under these parameters that are all just human created. You know what I mean? Like, what is economics?
It's supposed to be the study of money and understanding the ebb and flow of it.
It's the system, right, that we've
Yeah.
created and we've all agreed upon, right? But is it really this thing? Like, if we didn't have economics, would society? I understand it is an infrastructural part of society. It kind of helps keep things. It helps organize that chaos, right?
Yeah.
But humans will still live without it.
Yeah, because we've lived before without it.
But
Economics we know today is fractional reserve banking, where you take your $100, you take it to the bank. And what happens is they take what they take 90% of it, or they take 10% of it, give it and make it available to you, and the other 90% they go and loan out to
they
other people.
invest it, yeah.
Right, they go loan out to other people. So that's like not real money. That's fractional reserve banking. But the way that I prefer in the future, hopefully, is gold and silver. I'm just that guy, man. I
Trying to
love
go
gold
back
and
to
silver.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, because gold, silver, copper, and nickel they all do what? They all conduct electricity. And so our bodies were electromagnetic means, and when we transfer actual money, we're closing that circuit between each other, and then our DNA code records all that. I think if we get back to doing more of, exchanging gold and silver, maybe we can get some of our people's mindsets as a community back together again. That's some nerdy stuff, but I like studying like DNA, and
Hmm.
it's the great recorder of everything.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
weird.
so you're saying so whenever just like the DNA that we would put just by touching
Who
the
we are,
thing, and
it
then but what's
records.
the difference between that with like just like handing out paper money? Also, that's not convenient.
It's not. It's not. Convenience is always a thing that we really are attracted to for sure.
Yeah.
But hey, we have what we have now in the mediums in which we have in the moment.
Yeah.
We're Americans, where we have a plethora of ways of taking this money and buying things that we want, and it's hard being in the system as it is. I get it. But I think my whole goal is, for example, with my podcast, is to provide as much mind-freeing information as possible, so people can escape the rat race of the mindset
Yeah.
and get maybe their finances in order if I have a financial guide there. Because ultimately, I would love for people to be free, to not have to worry about finances. Let it create systems that pay for it, and then you live your actual life of who you are. And so that's the medium of exchange that we have right now, is fractional reserve banking. There will be something else later down the line that we'll all probably use,
Yeah.
and we'll all agree that's money. Maybe tulips again. I don't know.
That's the thing. It can literally be anything. It's been tulips. It's
It
been
could be.
salt.
Yeah.
You know, we
But
do minerals like.
but I like gold and silver because of store value, and it's still here since it's been here. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no.
So yeah,
It's
freedom
literally
is
it's
the
literally
key.
just a mineral.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not,
not nothing super special, right?
but like it is because we said it is.
Right.
It's so weird how we do that.
It is.
We could take anything and we create this whole system around it, and even so much so it can be a bad thing to where we outlaw plants,
Right.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, we send people to jail, they lose their liberties.
Even though Henry Ford, let me go ahead and quote Henry here. Let's see what Henry said here. Back in the day, I know he's not alive anymore, but you got to have the best conversations that I ever had were with dead people. So, there's that. So-
Dude, I'm reading this book right now. I got it a while ago and I just never started it. Called Smoke Signals.
Okay.
And it's like the complete. Let me look at this bad boy. It's by
Right.
Martin A. Lee.
Okay.
It's like the complete social history of marijuana,
Right.
cannabis, and dude, I read the section in the beginning here talking about with Harry Anslinger and William Randolph Hearst and Prohibition, and
Right. Right.
dude, the amount of information that was suppressed blows me away.
Now, if we're blown away from that time frame from back then, the amount of information that was suppressed, could we only imagine now?
Well, it's compounding over the years, but I mean, these guys were the forefounders of all the bullshit. So look, I'm gonna read this quote here real quick,
Right.
man.
Right.
This is from Harry Anslinger, and this is I think this is him. Let me see here. It says hearings before the committee. Yeah, for the Committee of Ways and Means at the U.S. House of Representatives. So this is him in April and May of 1937, and he says that I'm. They asked if they said I'm just wondering whether the marijuana addict graduates into heroin, an opium, or a cocaine user. And oh no, they asked. Representative John Dingell asked. And then Anslinger said, "No, sir, I have not heard of a case of that kind. I think it is an entirely different class. The marijuana addict does not go in that direction." Like,
To me, that's interesting because you got to ask the question with any other drug that's out. So
Well, and
the
then later-
Tylenol addict.
Well, then
does it-
later on, then he said, then they went on to say that, marijuana is that gateway drug,
Mm-hmm.
and then it does go into all this. And there was this whole report about how marijuana isn't, like, I can't even think of the name of the
well,
report.
since we were talking about words earlier, I would
The
venture to-
LaGuardia report.
Okay, LaGuardia.
LaGuardia. There
Report?
we go. Report. Yeah,
Right.
dude, it was like this French report that was done on cannabis, like back in the day. So they had all this information, and they just flat out lied.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
to suppress a whole industry.
And people trust the government. Like they're just the most honest, and they just have your own well-being in hand.
There's some great people in it, in their mindset that they're doing a great thing for sure. But
There's a lot of followers in it. That's the issue,
That's
man.
the
There's a lot of
issue.
sheep.
So I listened to a podcast called Masters of Scale by Reid Hoffman, and he is the co-founder of LinkedIn, and so he interviews like a lot of top like Netflix. Reed Hastings is a Netflix guy, Mark Zuckerberg. So he interviews a lot of top tier people, and in the Netflix one was my favorite because when streaming came along, Netflix was actually kind of slow to adopt because Reed Hastings, the owner of Netflix at the time, he said that the issue with their growth in the beginning of streaming was that they had so many people dedicated to following the system, the DVD system, and they were so dedicated of following the old antiquated system, they weren't being first principle thinkers, which means being a first principle thinker, you think about what's best for the company and you look to create better ways to do something. And so his business model had to evolve by getting all and most of the system followers out.
Yeah.
And getting the first principle thinkers in, and then obviously follow a system that works for a little while, but then first principle thinking comes in again because there's new ways of doing things all the time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's something that I picked up from, Reed Hastings, thinking about it's not all about following a specific perfect system. You might need some first principle thinkers on your boat or on your bus to move your whatever forward you're trying to do. Dude, Thomas Jefferson said, hemp is of the first necessity to the wealth and protection of the country.
Oh yeah, man. There's a ton of quotes talking about how hemp is just so vital. I mean, the
Thomas
Declaration
Jefferson
of Independence was written on hemp.
Is one of the greatest, most important substances of the nation. Abraham Lincoln. Two of my favorite things are sitting on my front porch, smoking a pipe of sweet hemp and playing my harmonica.
Did he really say that? I don't know if that one's true, though.
That might not be true.
I don't think
Snopes
that
don't
one's
get
true.
us. Is that Snopes? Don't get us or whoever.
I don't know if that one's true.
Either way, John Adams, we shall and by want a world of hemp, more of our own consumption. But anyways, it's
It was definitely a necessary crop.
Aside-
and,
yeah, right.
It flourishes here in Missouri.
right.
So it's cool that we finally have medical marijuana passed. I'm really excited to see what's ahead. I mean,
Yeah.
what's today? Today is May the 29th.
Uh-huh.
So Saturday is June the 1st, and they officially start, I think, accepting applications right there at the
Boom.
beginning of June.
So if you got $5,000 a piece, have at it
No, I'm talking about
for the card.
for patients. I
Oh,
believe.
okay. I was thinking.
No,
of
I
the
lied.
Industrial.
Yeah, no. Actually, it's for like dispensaries and growers and
Okay.
extractors and different things. So they start accepting those applications at the beginning of June, so coming up, and then they have to have them all approved
Right.
by December.
Okay.
So then we're
It's a
looking.
long vetting process there.
Yeah, man. Well, there's going to be a lot of fucking applications.
Mhm.
And then from there, we're probably looking like mid next year. So probably about a year
Right.
from now when dispensaries should be, up and running and people
Right.
should be able to start getting medicine and whatnot.
And I think it's great that we have this time frame for you and I to even use our platforms to educate in the moments that, while this happens right here in real time in Missouri, we're here in the beginnings of it, and we're the documenters of the time. So I think us providing the education and being that source for a lot of the people who may be skeptical, hopefully they're not cynical, because cynics don't investigate anything, but skeptics will.
Yeah.
Give them a way to be educated on something as opposed to being emotional.
Yeah, man. So many people they just don't know, and they're definitely they're victims of like fear tactics. They've bought into just all the lies and all the
Right.
fear
If
mongering.
my body has a system for it, thank you.
Yeah, we produce it. That's what that runner's high feeling is. It's our endocannabinoid system being activated, during exercise. So we are meant to be using this plant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's cool just to see where we're going to be headed in the upcoming
Right.
months, dude.
I'm really excited for it, man, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
go to a lot more of the different expos that pop up here in St. Louis. The one that I did go to, the MoCan trade, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you
uh,
connect with anybody from that? Like
yeah, I had
post?
a couple of connections and some interviews that I'm going to have come up of some companies that have some edible CBD products and such, just talking about the amendment itself and what some of the funds should be allocated to that might not be talked about as much.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm going to have some professionals on talking about it and
Yeah, man.
being a source of education too. And
That's
I'm-
where it's
yeah.
at, man. I just went to an event maybe a couple weeks ago now.
Mhm.
It was called Ignite Missouri.
Saw that.
Yeah, I went to that, and it was alright. I mean, I checked out a few of the. They did a pitch contest. They had some people, going up for, they want to do a business and they're pitching their businesses
Oh, wow.
and looking
Okay.
for
Like a
investors.
Shark Tank type environment going
Sort
on.
of like that, yeah.
That's
Except
cool.
the judges weren't giving any like feedback. Everybody's just listening, just for sake of
okay.
time and noise
Right.
and different things. So
Right.
it was pretty cool. There's definitely a couple people up there that I'll definitely connect with, post
Right.
and have them on the podcast.
That's what it's about, man. We're all
Yeah.
connecting and educating.
I probably have done 3 or 4 podcasts since MoCan BizCon.
Yep.
The people that I met there.
Yeah, the doctor, what was Dr.
Mimi Vo.
That was amazing.
Dude, she's
the
great.
educational source from her, that was just amazing.
Dude, she's amazing, and I actually just attended an art show that her sister had. Her sister's also a physician, Dr.
Okay.
Maivo,
Okay.
and
Both based in Missouri.
yeah, they're both here.
Okay.
And she is the name escapes me, but she specializes like a kidney doctor.
Okay.
Right. It starts with an E. I'm not smart enough to remember it.
Yeah, well.
But I'm actually sitting down with her on next Friday. We're going to sit down and talk. And she just had an art show. And so she's also an artist. So she did the paintings. Mine
Okay.
did. And they auction them off right now. And they auction them off at the show. I think the proceeds go to like the American, what did I say? Kidney Association.
Okay. Sure.
So it was cool. So either way, their whole family is just like super smart. I think her
Right.
dad was a physician as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
And actually, obviously, with her traveling around educating Missouri and the doctor, she's educating other doctors.
Yeah,
which is
that's
really
so
cool.
that's so it's such important work. Like
It
these
really
physicians
is.
really need to be educated on.
I like that it's not just consumer focused education. It's literally you doctors.
It's
need to
it's
know this.
everybody,
Right.
right? Yeah, and Mimi's definitely a good person to do that. She's very well articulated and obviously very smart and like just she also is very I think balanced in her approach, that she doesn't try to like overstep outside of her like expertise, you know what I
Right.
mean? She's like, she definitely follows the research and pays attention to it closely, you know what I mean?
Right,
So
because this is a very delicate subject at this point. There may be some organizations might looking to poke holes in it.
yeah, well,
so-
anecdotally, we know it's amazing, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, it's probably almost 98% of the people can probably get some sort of benefit from the plant.
Yeah.
But there are definitely those people who they need to have those hard numbers. They need to have those,
Right.
the statistics, and they need to have that.
Not in every
research.
area of life, but in specific emotional things. Sometimes. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not
just-
that super detailed when it
I
comes
just
to that
think it's
stuff,
some
but
form
yeah.
of fashion. So whether it's just like a balm from Jumbo, I mean
Right.
that's still a
are
cannabis
amazing.
product, right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
My wife absolutely loves the drops. She loves them.
Dude, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we use the drops all the time. I have the balm, which is amazing.
Right.
That's still cannabis. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's CBD predominantly,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's like hemp seeds. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or hemp protein.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's just a food source, but that's still the cannabis plant.
Right.
So there's definitely so many ways that people could benefit from it.
Right. If they just
Um,
go to Google and say, "How can I?"
Yeah, and they just hear hemp and they're like, oh, that's gonna make me fail a drug test, or
Right,
I'm
right.
gonna get high. And it's just like,
Education is so hard to go on the path of your own to do because it's so painful to learn something new, man.
Yeah.
It hurts so
yeah.
bad.
And I try to keep a balanced perspective on it because
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely been guilty of saying, oh, this is for everybody.
Right. But some people's systems might operate a little bit differently and absorb the different chemicals differently. So.
Well, from what I've learned, say I don't know, maybe you're just like bipolar or
Okay.
on the schizophrenic or something, or maybe on the edge of like a mental like
Right.
snap or something.
Right.
Large amounts of THC in cannabis probably aren't good for you. Like
You just need to
they're
a
not.
hug and talk to some people.
Yeah, like those things aren't like really good for you. It can actually
Right.
kind of send you over that edge. I found out pretty recently. So
Right, because you're more into your psyche at a deeper level when you start doing that. And
yeah,
you don't want to necessarily be that much deeper if you're spiraling.
whatever the reason is, I'm not sure. I just know it's just not good for those people, and it can
Right.
actually send them like down. Say like maybe like they're fine today,
Mhm.
but they could become like bipolar
Sure.
or something like that. Like, but they don't know it, and then they smoke weed, and then like fuck, dude, like now they're all screwed up because they
Right.
smoked weed, and that definitely does happen. And I didn't realize it until I listened to there's a Joe Rogan podcast. It was the cannabis debate. He had a couple guys on
Oh,
there.
okay.
And they were talking about that, and I was like, oh, I wasn't aware that
Mhm.
there was this potential downside to it.
Right, because
Yeah.
we're so proof
I've had-
positive
I've had
over
nothing
the
but
years,
positive.
right? Right. I've had nothing but positive, but yeah, I get it. Yeah, we've had proof positive that it's been beneficial to who we are. So
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
man. So who do you have? Do you have anybody you're kind of thinking of as far as for the show, or what's coming up with the show in the future?
Yeah, so getting the segments together actually took about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks break now. I'm looking at it to recalibrate and get back into the second season of things. 'Cause
So you're
the
doing
first,
you're doing seasons.
yeah, because it's evolved now, and so I'm looking at ways of properly putting together, what I'm trying to do. And there's some new sponsorships that I'm looking to incorporate with what I'm doing, and I want to make sure that the value that everyone get is still there. Without, I want to be able to provide more things, but still have that value, if not higher quality. I don't want to just throw stuff against the wall or whatnot. Not saying that podcasts do that, but for me, I want to be really strategic around the education piece.
Yeah.
And the right people. And so the networking piece for me has been amazing. I really don't have any. I had someone ask, "Who can I refer to you?" I was like, I don't really need it because I need to cultivate the relationships that I've created so far.
Yeah.
And so, throwing names in a bucket is not something I want to do. I want to really get in with these relationships and interview people that I really want to get to know. Dude, I interviewed a kid who I met. He worked at a McDonald's. And so I do Uber a lot of times because I like to, meet tons of people. I love that. I went to 10 different schools growing up. So to me, being the new guy wasn't a thing. Like, I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I'm so used to it. But I love doing Uber. Obviously, you get a little bit of income, but the networking piece has been super cool. The stories that you get while you're there.
Oh yeah.
Just the amount of unbelievable amount of talent that sits in your back seat or in your front seat, and the connections that you make in the moment is incredible. And so I met a kid. I picked him up from McDonald's. It was maybe 4 months ago at this point. And just dropped him off at home, and he didn't seem too excited for life. He was kind of down and out or whatnot. But obviously, if someone's gonna be in my car, they're gonna see the book that I have in the back. It's The Magic of Thinking Big, and they ask the question like, "What's this book about?" Well, the title implies, that's exactly what the title implies.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to the kid for a little bit, a 4-minute ride. So I drop him off. I didn't think much of it, but 2 months later, I pick up a guy from a different location, a different restaurant, and lo and behold, it happened to be the same kid. And so I was like, wait, you used to work at this McDonald's. Why are you working at this location at this different restaurant? He's like, well, I needed to change my life after we had, I saw your book, had that conversation. In that moment, I was really downtrodden, depressed. I didn't have much going for me. But here I am 2 months later. I'm in a different job. I'm literally about to be a manager. I just went through management training, and my entire life is changing completely. And to me, I needed to interview him to get that story behind what the hell happened from being depressed down in the dumps to now you walk into a new restaurant and now you're about to be a manager of the place, and then also looking to be the manager of many locations on the East Coast, and they're looking to vet you into it in 2 months. So I wanted to get that story because there was some type of flip. Like, no excuses for this kid. In 2 months, he flipped his life. And the big thing that I got out of that interview with him was that he said, all I did was just change my attitude.
Yeah. I mean, our attitude is everything, man.
Yeah, it's a book, too. Yeah. Attitude is everything.
Is that a book?
Yeah.
It really.
It's funny. It's a book, and it's in our lives.
It's so
yeah.
true, man. That's cool, dude.
That's why I interviewed the kid. So no one knew he wasn't super famous or anything. He just had a story of success that I was interested in to
Yeah.
have that told, because I want my podcast and just anything that I represent to be a source of no excuses. This kid did this in this short amount of time. Why am I laying in bed crying about wetting myself? How about I get up, go to the bathroom, and go? Like,
Yeah.
You know, like, that's probably weird, whatever. But
Yeah.
that's why I like doing this, what we're doing now, because we're just educating, man, just by having conversation.
Yeah, man. I'm always in this this mindset of just moving forward
Yeah.
all the time and just trying to do more that
Mm-hmm.
I often don't appreciate like what's happening now.
Yeah, it can be hard to do. You
Yeah.
ever read Be Here Now?
No.
Oh, it's such a good book.
Be here now. What's that about just being present? Is that talking about just being present?
Yeah,
Be Here Right Now.
I'm gonna send that to you actually before I leave.
Yeah,
I like that.
So yeah, I try to do better about being present, and I feel like I don't have an issue of like thinking about like what I have to do next, like in the moment.
Mhm.
But it's just like once the moment's over, the moment's over,
Yes,
and
and then the
then
motivation to do whatever next thing is not there.
it's not necessary. No, it's not that. It's just that. So like for example, this will be episode 88 of the podcast, right? So I've done 88 podcasts, and I've probably only had less than a handful. Like you're probably like the fourth person I've had on as like a repeat like guest because
Appreciate that.
I'm just trying to get so many different people, right?
Right.
And all
Same.
these different backgrounds. So it's easy to just like always focus on the next guest and the next episode. That is, I won't. The other day I was scrolling through all the guests. I'm like, oh, actually just yesterday I was doing it because I was like, when did you and I sit down last? And it was back in November.
Right.
So it's just easy, and time flies by. You're like,
It
it's
does.
just easy to like,
Definitely when you're content creating. For
yeah,
sure.
just get focused on creating and doing the next one and the next one and just keep producing. Because at the end of the day, you can't live in the past, right?
Right.
And you can't sit there and keep celebrating successes or live in failures, you know what I
Right.
mean? Because everything just keeps moving.
Yes.
But because of that, sometimes I don't really fully appreciate like what is happening.
Right.
So for a second yesterday, like I took that moment, I was like, dang man, like this is pretty cool. Like I've connected with a whole bunch of people. You know what I mean? And I definitely do need to start having some more repeat people on, just because, like you said, to cultivate those relationships as
Right.
opposed to always trying to get a new one, because
Right.
that is kind of a part of what I'm doing with the podcast, though, is just always trying to meet new people.
Right. Well, when you're cultivating those relationships, you can go deeper and deeper with an individual, and then you'll find out some more similarities and some more
Exactly.
amazing things like, holy cow, I didn't know it was like that, and you thought this way, or
Right.
and all that. So, yeah, diving deep is very important. I learned a lot of my things that I think about come from the realm of network marketing. So, basically, I talk about it a lot because that's all I know from the past 10, 12 years is just straight doing these things to, earn an income residually, right? And in that, I found that they teach that you don't want to build wide in your network marketing communities because you can't drive deep within an organization, which means you can't really drive deep with your people in that specific organization. If you look at any business, you want to look at driving depth, like a taproot. In a tree, for example, everything branches off of the taproot. So put attention and depth in your relationships, really deep in your business endeavors, instead of just going wide, getting as many people as possible in the business.
Yeah.
Well, take the business that you've already created and dive deep with that, because then more business will actually branch off
Yeah.
by doing that. So. Yeah, it's difficult to do, just like anything. But like you said, life is chaotic. So
Yeah. I really liked your analogy of it's all harmony. I don't know if
Yeah.
analogy is the right word there, but
yeah, well, it works. It's yours. Have it. Yeah, it's just good old the music of life.
yeah, dude, that's good. Yeah, no, that was an analogy. That was really good. Yeah, harmony is definitely probably the best way to put all this chaos, dude.
Yeah,
And,
because I can't teeter-totter on balance. I don't know what balance looks like. I got too many things.
Yeah, balance is relative, dude.
It's kind of like me. There's a saying that when you're trying to do so many different things in life, you look like a cat that's spinning plates in a room full of rocking chairs, which means you're spinning plates and there's these rocking chairs everywhere, but you're a cat, so you have a long tail. So anytime you can have your tail whacked or whatever, and then you're going to drop the plates. That's how sometimes you can feel as a content creator or just a busy mom or whatever. You feel like a cat spinning plates in a room full of rocking chairs.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I know you don't like to talk about the weather. You hear this
I
fucking
don't know the weather. Yeah,
thunder and
man.
lightning, bro?
Man, this is Missouri. Missouri, we get dumped on quite a bit. We're flooded out here.
Yeah,
And,
dude.
it's
So
weird.
this is kind of relative, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. No,
and,
I get it.
I was talking to my mom, and she said that it's supposed to be a cooler summer with a lot of rain, and here we are talking about the flood already.
How
flooding.
did she come to that?
I don't know. She's always been like in the know on shit like that, and I don't know if she just like heard it on the news or some
Yeah,
shit.
feel it in her bones or something.
But she was like, she heard it somewhere. But she
Right.
was like, no, this year's El Nino. This is El Nino this year, which means it's going to be a cooler summer and there's going to be more precipitation. I'm like,
That's very true here in Missouri.
she told me that about a month ago, bro. And here we are today.
Flooded out. I've never actually been in this long of a flood situation. I've been here for now, I guess, 12 years in St. Louis, and not something I'm used to. I've heard of the flood of '93 and all that, but
yeah,
I don't
I
know how
lived
that
here
was.
during that time, but I don't remember
Right.
any of that. I was in Potosi, and I don't think Potosi was flooded.
Yeah.
But yeah, you hear about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in middle school, and we watched like I don't know, like I think a teacher brought in
Right.
like a news video of it or some shit.
Yeah,
'Cause
that was
she-
more dramatic than the situation.
but dude, yeah, I think we're pretty close to those levels already.
Right.
Like it's pretty crazy.
I have a buddy who's 6 feet under right now. I mean, his house is raised, but it's still bothersome because you can't really get in and out of the house. He has to literally boat to dry land to get to the car. So
Whoa.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, and it's been such a nice day, and out of nowhere, I feel like I didn't know it was supposed to rain today. Was it supposed to rain?
I don't
I
think so.
I
I
don't-
stopped checking because I know how St. Louis works.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and I wonder. Actually, I was doing it earlier today, and I wonder if it's just because there's so much moisture right now. It's so saturated that it's not sinking to the earth, right, which causes flooding. There's so much moisture just sitting on the ground. Does it just evaporate, get caught in the clouds, and then it's like just the cyclical effect because we have so much,
Right.
on the ground, and then we get more rain.
Could be.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't if one feeds into the other.
At some points, it needs to recede because there's a lot of things that aren't being able to be done down in like Main Street, St. Charles, and all that. Festivals having to move and such because of the flooding. So,
Yeah. We were down there last weekend, and I thought it would be more flooded than it was. But yeah,
Right.
that riverfront park is definitely some of that's flooded.
Right.
Dude, it's crazy.
St. Louis.
Well, just Mother Nature,
Right.
to be honest with you, because
Unpredictable.
it's not like St. Louis is flooding every year. And normally, we're coming up on June. We're normally done with the rain by now.
It should be just sweltering, humid. Heat,
Yeah, shouldn't
but-
be too miserable. Like
So I
it's-
guess I'll take it. I guess I'll take it.
Yeah, I know we can't control it, Mike. I know it's not your favorite conversation, but this shit is wild,
doing
man.
good. I'm doing
Mother
good with
Nature is wild. I don't mind talking about things I can't control because we do have to control our attitude when it does come to those things.
Yep.
But dude, nature is just a fucking
It's the grand teacher, if
just
you
a
ask me.
powerful beast,
It's-
man.
Yeah.
Gives no fucks about you.
Nope.
Zero.
Not a bit. Eat you up, spit you out.
Yeah, man. That's what always gets me when people like they don't want you to hunt animals or different things. Like you realize that animal would fucking just tear you apart, like bears.
Yeah, they have zero ethics on their part. They're hungry, so it's
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 just
over with.
You know what I mean. And you probably couldn't get any more humane than just like doing that. Than like
it's just
going.
being detached from who we were before we got to this perfection stage of things that we can conveniently get. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's craziness, dude. But
Right.
I often think about that.
Right,
with
right.
I often think about the chaos of it all, and I try to focus on like what I can control whenever I'm doing like plant medicines and different things.
Mhm.
I always try to do them on like nice days, and I always sit there and I always think about like it's depending on which compound.
This is a great conversation, actually. Yeah, keep
Yeah,
going with this.
depending on whichever like compound
Mhm.
you're doing, but I tend to have like this third person kind of perspective experience, especially with like LSD or something like that, right?
Right.
And then you just start thinking about it all, man. It's just like, fuck, man, like I'll think about the weather, and then I'll go out to like space, and like sometimes maybe I just listen to too much Joe Rogan sometimes, or I've listened to him too much in the past, but it's like we really could just get fucking demolished by a goddamn meteor
We could.
at any time.
We could.
Right now, this very second.
We could, and we
It
can't
could
do anything
fucking
about it.
happen.
Right, we
Couldn't-
get wrapped up into the possibilities of what could happen.
Couldn't do anything about it, right?
Right.
And then from there, my train of thought will go to that. Well, what the fuck does it all mean then? Like none of this matters. Economics, bullshit. It doesn't.
Right.
Like so many people are just living miserable because of this system or these parameters that they live by.
Right.
That they're just putting bars on themselves. Like they're putting themselves in a cage. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're miserable when really you can fucking do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You really can.
You can be Neo.
You really can, dude.
That's why I love The Matrix, man, because, you know...
I just watched all of those the other
I'm
day.
glad you did. I'm almost wanting to watch it myself. It's definitely my favorite, movie of all time for obviously tons of different reasons, but the awakening of watching Neo go through the process of, holy crap, and Morpheus telling him that you're stuck in your mind in a prison that you can't smell, you can't see, you can't taste, you can't touch, but you can feel it in your taxes. You can't feel it. Like, there's so many different parables to that, and I love watching Neo's progression through following the White Rabbit and being the monotonous drone, doing the monotonous things, and then discovering who he is at the very end, where he's like, holy crap, he's stopping bullets and all that stuff.
Well, yeah,
So,
he just realized that it's just all this code, right? It's just all
information.
this illusion. Yeah, it's all information. And yeah, man, I watched it was over a few different days, but I watched the whole trilogy.
Right.
And it was very interesting watching it now as a
Right.
31-year-old man who's gone through some experiences, as opposed to whenever I was a kid and it first came out.
Right.
And I was explaining to my girlfriend because I don't think she understood. I'm like, listen, this movie changed cinema.
It did.
They literally invented a way to film this movie that had never been done before.
Right.
And today it's easy to like take it for granted.
Make fun of it. Oh, it's so cheesy.
Well, because everybody's done it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like everybody took what they did and they
Right.
copied it.
It's like the crouching tiger, hidden dragon approach.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And it
Completely
almost
revolutionary.
cheapens like the brilliance of like
Right.
some of the cinematic things that they did. But the story itself, I mean, it's that hero's
Beautiful.
journey, right? And there's a lot of mimicking of like religion and different things
Right.
in there.
They
the
put a
whole
lot in that.
Christian myth and different things. So there was a lot of layers to it that I just couldn't get whenever I was younger.
Right. The only thing I got was being the hero, right? And that's all I got when I was younger, for sure. But there's just so much more. There's being heroes, being a villain at times in life. There's so much in that movie. It's insane.
Yeah, man. And then like just the purpose of every the different codes and yeah, it was
Language, man. It's the
Language.
understanding the different languages of the world. There's even a language of silence, apparently. So, I learned this from
maybe body language.
yeah, I mean, well, even in like the court judicial system, there's a language of silence. Apparently, if you speak the language properly and go through this language of silence, you can actually get out of a situation. Very interesting stuff that you can learn if you're investigating how to become free from this land and this matrix type of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to it. Like,
Is freedom just in your mind, or is there a freedom? You know what I mean? We refer to this freedom, right?
Yeah.
Is there really one?
Well, people have different perceptions of the freedom. I look at freedom as, to me, is not being held down by the corporate entities of life. So
Is it just
like
financial
my
freedom?
financial freedom is one, but is that that's not 100% freedom, because if you're still submitting to living life through a social security number and a birth certificate, you're still not free yet. And so
What do you mean?
So the American flag is the amity and commerce flag. The reason why we're able to do business in this land is because there's a contract between America and Morocco, the Treaty of 1787, 86, and 87, in those years, where the land was already taken by the land of Morocco, and the very first treaty of this land for the United States, the very first country to admit, or the very first country to recognize America as a country was Morocco, because the flag on this land is different than the actual flag. It's not the red, white, and blue. That's not the country's flag. That's not this land's masses flag. That's the amnesty and commerce flag, so we can do business on this land. Just like China, that's not Chinese people, that's Manchurian people. The land is Manchurian. The Chinese people, the Chinese, that flag, that's the amnesty and commerce flag for them to do business in that land.
Huh. In the land
Puerto Rico,
or outside of the land?
On that land.
Why would they need a flag for their own land?
It's very interesting to learn.
Why would we need a flag for our own land?
The American flag is a symbol
For commerce with other people.
Yeah, well, to be these corporate ward states that we are, so our driver's license show that we are a corporation, and the government can't do business with flesh and bone, so it has to do business with those corporation names that we have on our driver's license and these contracts that we sign with our social security numbers and all this stuff that never existed before that came in.
But you don't sign a contract for your social security number, like you're issued that.
Yeah, because your parents signed your contract for your birth certificate.
Yeah. But us individually, we don't sign those.
And so we go into contract with the government with that number by identifying as that number. And so for me, the reason why I'm in business is because I want everything to run through my LLC, and I don't want nothing to run through my license at all anymore. I want to get rid of all that stuff. As I'm learning more, I'm no professional in the field of which I'm proclaiming at the moment. I'm just studying it over the past couple of years because I want absolute freedom is what I want, so that what I look at freedom is that getting, I guess, proper education around the things that can, move you to where you want to really go. Like for me, I don't want to have to be held down by legal terms like driving. To me, driving is a legal term. I'm not driving, I'm actually traveling. And if you look in the Black Laws Dictionary, it tells you what it is. There's a difference between legal and lawful. And so I'm trying to learn a lot about common law and the legal system and seatbelt and all that stuff, these ordinances and such. I'm trying to learn a lot about what that stuff is and where it came from, because it wasn't always here.
Well, wouldn't travel just be like a generic term, and driving would be a specific?
Very specific, so that it can now be
there's a lot of ways to travel. You don't always have to drive.
Right. So when you're driving, you're not actually driving. You're actually traveling. So it's this wordplay. I've been studying etymology.
But you're also driving. If you are driving, unless you're riding, then you're not driving.
So I guess where I'm getting at is the understanding the difference between legalism, or not legalism, the difference between legalese and the actual language that we speak called English. So I'm really trying to understand the difference in what legalese is versus what actual English is, and understand what law and language really is.
Legalese, as in, I'm not familiar with that word. Did you make that word up? Is that a real word?
No, that's what they speak in court.
Oh, just legal jargon, legal talk.
Yeah, it's a dead language, and yet anyone who's in the law society actually speaks in that. Yeah, they speak that language, and when they're speaking English to you, it sounds like English, but it's legalese. So if someone in the law society ask or say to you, "Do you understand?" and you say yes, well, you think he's talking about, or they even think they're talking about, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" No, it's more of, "Do you stand under my jurisdiction?" So when you hear people who are actual of Moorish descent and they're speaking to people who are in the law society, they say, "No, I overstand," is what they say, because they understand what law and language means. Even though that officer in the moment may not, but understanding law and language is something that I'm just kind of obsessed with, because I love words and language.
Words are so weird, man, because there's a language for every industry. I mean, business, there's a particular way of speaking. Mechanics speak a particular way. I mean, construction, scientists, they all use these words that not everybody in the world understands.
They say that the person who understands the language of this land, the amnesty and commerce land, is the president, who understands the language the best. No matter what people may feel about the person in that seat, they understand that language to get into that seat better than anyone else.
Well, it's certainly the case for the current president because he's just a master of working the people. He really
He knows the
is.
language of the land.
Yeah, yeah, he really does.
And that's something,
Say what you like about him, but the dude got the votes.
yep, he knows the language, and that's what I'm obsessing over in the world today is understanding the history of language and getting these words out on these platforms so that we can all just educate ourselves at a faster rate. I feel that these platforms and the internet is going to expose our society a little more, and it's going to head towards a positive, I think, because a lot of times social media has an effect of helping us to appear better than who we are
Oh,
sometimes.
absolutely.
But if we think about that, what happens when we go into the mirror every morning? We look like crap. Oh, I do when I wake up. I look like I died.
Yeah.
And then I get up and then I try to make myself appear to be better than what I was when I woke up. And so, to me, I think that what social media will end up doing is exposing a lot of us to want to strive to be a little bit better, I guess. And it's something that it's a thought expanding upon what Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about not too long ago, just saying that he doesn't feel that this is demonizing people. It might just be exposing us for who we really are, because this follows us everywhere at this point, and
Yeah.
you can't get away from it. So, yeah, the
Yeah.
internet's interesting.
To a degree. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, to a degree. So yeah, all types of interesting things to study over the time. But the things that I've really been studying is just the stories of people lately. Um, yeah.
There's a book called was it A Hero of a Thousand Faces?
Oh, nice. Okay,
It's just
that
essentially,
sounds good.
I cannot think of who it's by. I'd have to look on my phone, but it's essentially talking about like the hero's journey and how like this story has been told like a thousand years or some shit. And just how
Okay.
people we just keep retelling like the same stories just in different ways. And you see it all the time, right? You
Because
see
there's
it
nothing new under the sun.
no in the universe, like it's just all
It is.
yeah, man. And that's the thing. I feel like some people will let that hold them back because they want to have like this original idea.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But
Right.
nothing's original, man.
No, the taxi cab isn't original. Uber isn't original. It's just somebody decided to leverage this better than some
Yeah,
other
just do
company.
it. Just you know what I mean? Like
Right.
humans have been around for so long, and we know we have evidence now that like society was wiped off the face of the fucking planet. So who knows what kind of shit they had back then?
Right.
We don't know, but we do know there's very advanced societies, like well older than what they had previously believed to be.
Right.
So
Right. And, I love the history of where we've been in life, and there's so much history to study, because there's so much you can learn. You can read enough history, you can predict the future. And I love learning about ancient civilizations and all that good stuff in hopes that I can apply a lot of what they did, maybe not so awesome, into a new way and a new system, because 100, 200, 300 years from now, people are going to be talking about us like we're talking about, them back in the day.
yeah,
And so it's just like, man, what am I doing today to to cement not so much my name and my legacy. I don't want my name on any building at all. I just want to make sure at least one person got a message and move that
yeah.
on. Because I mean, I'm gonna be gone, but
Yeah,
everything else is
legacy
gonna
is
keep
super
going.
important to me,
Hmm.
and I think I tried to make it not be for a while. But I
Hmm.
can remember being a kid, like real, real young, and laying in bed, and I can remember thinking like, I want people to remember me.
Hmm.
Like I really, I think I don't know if I was just like what I was studying at the time, but I definitely remember thinking like how people always remember like Martin Luther King, like he was just like a great dude, and like people are always remember him. I can remember thinking like I don't want to be forgotten, and like
Right.
having like this intense. And I was probably like 8 or 9,
Hmm.
and I was just dealing with like this intense fear of death at the moment.
Right.
I was like, I
Right.
don't want to fucking die. I don't know why I
Right.
was thinking about it so
I don't
much,
know how I
but
got here, but I don't want to leave here.
yeah, but it was
Right.
just like this intense fear of just like death and just like losing everybody. And I was like, I don't want people to forget me. And then like
Yeah.
now I look at that and I feel like it's just this thing that's been inside of me like my whole life of needing to leave a legacy and to like really leave my mark on people in the world.
Yeah, they say that the only thing that echoes from the grave is our character, and I would argue that character is similar or maybe even synonymous with legacy.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about Martin Luther King, we talk about the things that he did in his character public character, and we aspire to maybe sometimes be like that. But yeah, I get what you're talking about, man. That feel to want to be remembered, and they say you're only remembered as long as far for as long as the last person who remembers you,
Yeah,
and that's pretty deep and dope.
that's so true though.
But I think what's cool about what we are doing, we're documenting our journeys in life,
Yeah,
and we put it on different platforms. Now, say if the internet goes away, whatever, maybe we transcribe this stuff because we're creating the new history for people to learn about in the future of how to react. When an economy is going to shit, like
Yeah.
what do we do now? Well, maybe our documenting our journey in the moments of now, we can teach that next generation.
yeah.
So we're already doing what we can on our part. We're just having fun having conversations.
Right.
So
Are you going to do more documenting of like your plant medicine journeys?
yeah, I think so. Simply because when I turned 17, 17, I went to my first festival, and I was just a snot-nosed kid, just literally just looking to just get high, right? And
Yeah.
then I got there, I experienced it, but the very first thing that I had done, it was definitely it was like. So you get there to this festival, and there's people selling things and products and services. And someone came with some mescaline. I didn't know what that stuff was. And someone came with some like some research stuff, like 2CE research chemicals and
I've
stuff
never
like
heard
that.
of that, yeah.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff they were doing down there. I was there 17 years old, and I was like, whatever, give it to me,
Yeah,
right? And
sure.
so, but later that night, for the first time in my life, I started to like break down what systems were, and I didn't know where it was coming from. Like, why am I breaking down what the governmental system is right now? I've never
Yeah,
thought about that. I'm
I've done
17 years
that.
old. I'm like, why am I thinking about? Why am I internalizing so much right now as a 17-year-old kid? And it started me on a journey to understand my mind a little bit more and what it was and what my nervous system is.
Yeah.
And once I found out that my nervous system is more of just, like a tuning fork, it could be tuned to different radio frequencies and radio waves. And you start to learn about all these different frequencies in life. And it was very interesting as a kid to understand, man, what I see isn't all there is.
Right.
And it's very touchy for a lot of people to really touch on because they equate certain things with addicts and
Yeah.
being abusive and so on and so forth. But if you look up the
Fear.
Thrive movement right now, that's a multi-billion-dollar family who goes out to the rainforest in Brazil and get taken care of while they take ibogaine and ayahuasca, and they're going to go take plant medicines in the forest.
Yeah.
Multi-billionaires people look up to.
Dude,
So
yeah.
if they are looking to come back with something, we should probably be looking at ways of taking these medicines and coming back with something.
Yeah, man. It's just so weird how people are afraid to be with their own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid to really take that journey within. They think that they're going to go crazy. Or
Love
they're
being in control,
They're
man.
going to lose their mind. Yeah, there is that if you have to let go.
Have
You
to.
really do. You are out of control to a certain degree, but you're not out of control to where like you're gonna go do some crazy shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're just out of control.
If you're going to do crazy shit, you're going to do it with or without any enhancements of any drug. You're going to
Yeah.
do it anyways.
Yeah. Now, certain compounds, if you have like extreme anxiety or different, like maybe they're not for you because
Right.
certain
Got to clarify the compounds
Yeah,
because you
for
don't
sure.
want
and in all honesty, you know,
Right.
like whenever I was younger, I definitely, I first tried psilocybin, and it was definitely like in that recreational sense with knowing like the setting wasn't really paid attention to. And
Right.
It was kind of was. It was like
just
a
trying
nice,
to have fun
it
and
was
see
like
colors.
It was like a nice day, and we went out in the fields and like in the woods and stuff like that. So that was kind of there, but like we didn't like intentionally do setting, and like there wasn't any intent there. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you are approaching these plants with respect, because I've definitely have done the opposite. They
Right.
will put you like they'll fucking check you
yeah.
quick.
See ya.
Yeah, dude. Like they will make you respect them.
Yes.
If you don't do that, then you can definitely have a very trying experience. I don't feel like there are any bad trips. I feel like some are more challenging than others. It's
Sure.
just it's up to the person to really take those lessons.
It's a lot of mindset that has to go along with it, and it's an internal game. I think my problem when I was younger, I was going into it looking for an exterior solution to an internal problem.
Yeah.
And so I would go hoping that this substance of some sort would help, fix me. But now that I understand that everything that's put here in this land is just the law of the seed, man. You
Yeah.
know, the apple seed, it has everything it possibly needs inside of itself already to be a great tree. And
Yeah.
once it's blossomed out of the ground, what happens is it becomes this beautiful tree, and then we eat the fruit of the tree. Now, we don't eat the bark because that's not where the fruit's at. I look at myself as the bark. That's how I keep myself humble. The fruits of my who I am in the podcast and all this stuff, that's my gifts. That's my fruit, right? And so that's how I look at life. Is that everything that I'm supposed to be, all my success is not before me; it's within me.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like doing what I'm doing now, is trying to help people understand, hey, the success you seek is not actually before you out there anywhere. It's already within you. It's just
Right.
time to put yourself in the right environment to be nurtured. And so I think what we do is our way of nurturing people to their own greatness. And that's why I call it Grow to Great, because you're already great. You just got to grow into it.
I can dig it, man.
Yep.
Right on, dude. Well, we're gonna end
Yeah.
on that, dude. That's that's a perfect spot. So tell the folks how they can, get a hold of you and
Yeah,
check you
yeah.
out.
So Facebook, Instagram. On Facebook is Grow to Great. So GROWTO Great. I forget there's a camera there. What up? And then also on Instagram is Grow to Great. So GROW the number 2 Great. And then anchor.fm/Grow to Great. In any platform, just type in Grow to Great that you like to listen to podcast.
Right on, man. All right, everybody. Until next time.
So next time. Woo.
Bye.